the Bottom Line podcast presented by Anchor.fm, your home for sports and entertainment talk. I'm Jimmy Finizzi alongside Neil Villapiano. We hope you're doing well. As always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to take a listen to us. We really do appreciate it. Before we get started, you know the drill. Questions, opinions, Twitter and Instagram at BottomLineWMCX, and on Twitter at the NVP Show, hashtag BottomLine. Voice message on Anchor, the app, or Anchor.fm. And if you like what you see on YouTube, please leave a like and a comment down below. Helps out tremendously. And please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss a single episode. And please subscribe on all audio listening platforms. Just include Jimmy when searching for this podcast. Neil, I don't know about you, but I'm still feeling a little bit hyped after the last episode that we did with our friends at First to 11. If you haven't seen it, I'll post a link in the description. Please go check it out. We interviewed our good friends at First to 11 on hitting 1 million subscribers, and we completely bombshelled them with some surprise guests. And if you've seen it, you know who they are by now. But if you haven't, go watch or listen to the audio program first. You'll find out who they are. But today's episode is going to be really, really special as well because we have some new members of the podcasting family coming on to talk with us about how they got started, what the inspiration was, what they're all about, what teams they like, basically a little bit of a preview on the upcoming season. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we are proud to have on Megan, Rachel, and Shannon Walsh of the Slapshot Sweethearts podcast. It is a female-fronted podcast network. And Neil, I gotta say, I give these ladies a whole lot of credit. And we're always a component of, if you're a woman in the sports industry and if you want to do it, feel free to go right ahead. God bless you. You deserve this opportunity. And for these young women, I know they've only put out a couple episodes, but you know what? They're already going strong, and I can't wait to talk to these ladies about this.
Yeah, it's always great to, get more and more people, in the podcasting world. It's become such a very popular industry to kind of get into. It's a very popular media, and, for them to do all the stuff that they've already done, and they've basically only been doing it for about a week or two is very impressive. And it clearly shows their determination. It clearly shows that they wanted to do this for a long time, and they make a lot of good points, and they have a lot to say. And it's important that we all take the chance to listen and to listen to as many opinions as possible on everything. And, I know that they've actually already been on several of the Hockey Podcast Network podcasts. So clearly in my, within the network I'm working for, they're very popular right away. And that's extremely exciting because, it's important for everybody to get their name out there as much as possible. And I'm looking forward to this conversation and talking a little bit of hockey as I'm actually watching the bronze medal game between Russia and Finland in the 2021 World Juniors.
Yes.
And then USA plays Canada at 9:00 for the gold medal. So that will be, we're having a very hockey themed podcast, which is something we haven't done in quite some time.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a blast. And yes, USA and Canada does play tonight. We're recording this on January 5th, 2021. So by the time you're watching or listening to this episode, obviously the game will be over because this episode will be released on Thursday, January 7th. So obviously the game will be over by then and we'll know the results. But even still, it should be a fun night. It should be a fun episode. So we want you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy our exclusive interview with the Slapshot Sweethearts podcast. Enjoy, everybody. All right, Neil, this is going to be very, very exciting. We got ourselves a couple of diehard hockey fans that just started a brand new podcast. Like I said in the pre-show intro, it is a female-fronted podcast that just got underway. They just launched their first couple of episodes, and if you haven't heard them yet or watched them on YouTube, please go like and subscribe to them right now. We'll wait. Okay, time's up. But anyway, no, seriously though, please go subscribe to these ladies. They're doing a fantastic job. They've already been pretty much all over the map. They've been in a couple of podcasts on the Hockey Podcast Network. They're obviously diehard hockey fans, but we wanted to get them on here to basically talk about what they were all about, how they started the podcast, and all that other fun stuff. They are known as the Slapshot Sweethearts. We would like to welcome Megan, Rachel, and Shannon Walsh. Ladies, first of all, thank you so much for popping on with us, and congrats on the new podcast. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing well.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
No, of course. It's our pleasure. We're very happy to have you on the show, and we're not going to waste any more time here. We're just going to dive right into things. So I guess the first question we want to ask you is, let's talk about the origins of this podcast. First of all, the name. Who came up with it, and how did it come about?
Yeah, so I do a lot of work with Belly Up Sports, which is the network we're a part of and the company we're a part of. I am their intern coordinator. I'm on their leadership team, and I'm their basketball department lead. So we needed a new flagship hockey podcast. Our flagship basketball podcast is named Hardcourt Honeys, which is a female-fronted basketball podcast. When they approached me about a hockey podcast, my initial thought was that as soon as I joined Belly Up, I really enjoyed Hardcourt Honey's branding, their approach, all of that. So I kind of wanted to take it as a sibling pod concept, and so that we could do it for all 4 major sports and continue in that realm. So we were trying to think of, another clever way to go with the female approach. It's a similar name, similar branding, all of that. And we have a lot of similar approaches to how we do our episodes and our social media and all of that.
Who or what was the inspiration for you ladies to actually start this podcast? Like, who or what made you say, you know what, we need to get another hockey podcast, and we need more women to help promote this sport? Because Neil and I have always been a proponent of, if you are a woman in the sports industry, or any industry for that matter, and you want to work in any business, you have an absolute right to do that. And we're very happy that you ladies are getting involved in the sports industry. So who or what was the inspiration for you guys to start this podcast?
I mean, a lot of it came from Shannon's involvement with Belly Up, and we've been friends. We met in college. We were in the same sorority, and in our sorority, we were kind of like the sports girls of the bunch. So like, we always would go to like sporting events, and like we would be the ones who would be at like hockey games, because like we were both in DC. So like going to a Caps game whenever our teams were in town. So kind of just, that was our mutual bonding point. And when Shannon had this opportunity with Belly Up, she came to me, and I was like, yeah, man, like I would love to be out there, get all of our like female opinions heard and such.
Very, very nice. Neil, if you have a question, feel free to go ahead.
I guess, kind of like with it, I ask a lot of people this question, and it's a pretty simple one. It's just, what got you ladies into hockey? What was it? Do you have like a moment or like a memory that really got you to say like, okay, I really love watching the sport and I love everything about it?
Yeah, in 2013, I grew up a half an hour south of Boston, pretty much smack dab in the middle between Boston and Providence. And Boston's AHL team is the Providence Bruins, so they play at the Dunkin' Donuts Center. I had gone to a game with my high school best friend and her family at the Dunkin' Donuts Center for their ice warm-ups. You can pretty much just go stand right in front of the glass and watch and all of that. I'm assuming you can at most AHL games. I've not been to any others.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So we were right up at the glass. We were, engaging with the players. And it really, I was so in love, which I had been to other ones. It just hadn't clicked yet, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then we went to so many games. When we had gone to the game, it was right before the Bruins had made their Stanley Cup run against the Blackhawks in 2013. So I watched every single playoff game that year. And then I just ended up completely falling in love with hockey. And it really was the gateway into my full love of sports, which now I'm known as like a sports nut to most of my friends. So
welcome to the party.
Right.
Yeah, welcome. Megan, what about you?
My dad is what got me into hockey. He grew up in Pittsburgh. I'm a Penguins fan to begin with, wearing a Vegas jersey, and we'll get to that though. But yeah, my dad kind of got me into it. He would bring me to games when we would go visit Pittsburgh. I grew up in Jersey, so whenever the Pens were in town, we would go. And I think it really solidified for me with the first jersey I bought, which is like a children's small. And I was just like, I got into a really big fight with my dad about which one to get. And I was like, I want Fleury. And he was like, no. And I was like, why not? He goes, he's not going to be a franchise player. Get Crosby. And I was like, I don't want it. And we just started fighting about this. And I was like, well, maybe I'm a little into this sport now. And as I just grew up, like I got more into it. And anytime I was somewhere where the Pens were, I was there. And I, to this day, followed Fleury to my Vegas jersey. So now I'm just along for the ride.
I was just you basically answered my next question that was going to be for you, Megan, which was you're a Penguins fan. Why the Vegas shirt? But you just answered my question. Thank you.
There you go.
And Shannon, I was going to ask you, what led you to officially become a Boston Bruins fan? I know you mentioned before you grew up basically smack dab in the middle of between Providence and Boston. But what made you become a fan of the Bruins?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much locational. I didn't think that I would ever become a fan of any other team besides a Boston sports team. And as I've become more in depth with sports, I've gotten a soft spot for the Washington teams, which took almost 5 years for me to do. I never thought that I would like a Washington team. I still cannot stand the Nationals, but I really love the Washington football team. I really am starting to like the Capitals, even though they stole Zdeno Chara. The Wizards are growing on me. I think that was a surprise to many people. My boyfriend is a Flyers fan, so I have a soft spot for them. Well, he's a Yankees fan and an Eagles fan too. So in terms of other teams, the Flyers are like
time out. I don't mean to cut you off.
South Jersey,
but how the hell does that work? You're a Yankee fan, which I can appreciate. I'm a Yankee fan too. So is Neil. But an Eagles fan and a Flyer fan. How the hell does that work?
So, in terms of how he became those? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so he grew up outside of Philadelphia, but his dad is from.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. So I was gonna say if it was any other excuse, I would have walked off the set. Right. But grew up outside of Philly. Okay, fine. I can respect that.
Here's a good example. Look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout grew up a Yankee fan. He also was a big Eagles fan, and he lived in South Jersey. So
maybe shitty sports fans just congregate in bad franchises. Right. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. You just never know in this crazy world, do you? But that was actually gonna be my next point, as we're gonna dive a little bit more into hockey a little bit here, as we're going to preview the upcoming season a little bit here as it starts on the 13th. So a little over a week from now, which is going to be very, very exciting stuff. I can't wait.
Yeah, me and Shannon get to be excited about January 14th. There you go.
Oh, God.
Oh, and also with no David Pasternak, so maybe we actually have a shot.
Oh, my God.
Maybe. That might be a stretch, but maybe.
Oh, goodness. But, Shannon, I hate to do it, but I got to ask you about this since you brought him up earlier.
I know.
How did you take this Zdeno Chara news? Because I got to be honest with you, and no offense, I do not like the Bruins, but I love watching Zdeno Chara play. I do. I have much respect for him. I love how he plays the game. The fact that he's 43 years old and still going as strong as he is, I have mad respect for him. That guy is definitely going in the Hall of Fame when his career is over. But I did not expect for him to leave the Bruins to go to the Capitals. So how the heck did you take that news?
Yeah, I was pretty caught off guard as well. We actually just recorded before this our episode for this week, and we had on Dale Arnold, who is the Bruins host on Nessun.
Right.
So we're really excited for that to drop. Make sure that you watch it on Thursday. But we spoke about this. We obviously spoke about it on our episode last week because it was the day that he moved. But we spoke about it earlier with Dale as well, because we're trying to find a reason for him to do it. And from what we can understand, it's that the Bruins front office was really honest with Chara. They said, you're obviously a leader. You've built your career here. We don't want to take away that side of things, but you won't be playing the top minutes that you want. And he wasn't quite ready to take that. And Dale made a really great point, spoiler from our podcast, that Chara's, he's going to be a third line. It's really hard to see. It's frustrating. He basically pulled a Tom Brady and is living out his career, the last few years of his career out elsewhere from where he built it.
No. I mean, it was simply that, look, you look at Zdeno Chara's situation, that the man has, built his entire career being with the Bruins, albeit, Islander fans don't want to remember the fact that they originally had him, but that's just
that's true. People do tend to forget that he was drafted by the Islanders.
I don't know. Last night we were with an Islander fan, and he was very quick to say that Chara was with the Islanders before he was with the Bruins.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, he was also with the Senators before the Bruins.
Yeah, and they thought getting Yashin was a good idea. But anyway, Looking at Zdeno Chara, I mean, let's face it. For many years, he's been the Boston Bruins, the definition of the Boston Bruins. And it definitely was, there were a lot of questions in the offseason as to whether or not he was going to retire or try to come back for another year. I mean, there was a lot of question marks about it. And when he actually decided, and there were no rumors really, I mean, you didn't really hear a whole lot about was Chara looking to play for somebody else. But when it happened, it was certainly a surprise. But then once you start to realize what the reasoning was, it kind of makes sense. The Bruins were basically saying, hey, we still want you, but we just don't want you at the amount of playing minutes that you were originally playing before because of your age. And for him to be the captain of the team, sitting on the sidelines, even in a shortened season, sitting on the sidelines the majority of the time, is just not, it just doesn't bode well for him. So he goes to a Washington team that, let's be honest, their defense really struggled once they got in the bubble. I mean, they let a young Islanders team really, really burn them, particularly, guys like Matt Barzal and Anthony Beauvillier. I mean, they torched them in that playoff round. I don't know if adding Chara somehow makes their defense faster, but, again, he's on the third line pairing. He's going to be on there for penalty minutes, particularly. He's going to be a big leader in that locker room. And I think now by adding Chara, the Capitals have officially become the oldest team in the NHL.
I think you're right, yeah.
Considering the age of some of their main guys, Nicholas Backstrom and Alexander Ovechkin. I mean, you did have Henrik Lundqvist before he unfortunately had to, decide to not play because of a heart condition. But still, it was definitely a crazy, news when it came out that he was going somewhere else other than staying with the Boston Bruins. It's going to be weird. No doubt about it. It's going to be weird to see him in a Capitals sweater and not wearing a Boston Bruins uniform. And it makes a lot of sense. He's kind of like Yager in a way. He just wants to keep playing. And, I mean, look at Yager. He's still playing. Technically, this is his last season.
And the dude's almost 50.
So, I mean, if you can play, you can play.
You're right. But even still, that's like he's almost reaching Gordie Howe levels.
I mean, so what? If he could still play and he still wants to play, somebody's going to give him an opportunity. So that's what he's proven. And Chara, I wouldn't even be surprised if Chara, this was the last year he played in the NHL and then went back to his home country and played hockey there for the next 2 or 3 years. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's solidified himself as a Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any debate on that at all. But yeah, for him to go to the Capitals, I don't necessarily blame him. And I don't think any Bruins fan should be upset about it considering the circumstances.
Shannon, any thoughts on that?
I was upset about it, and I've come to accept it. I at the beginning, when we did record our podcast last week, I was very upset because I couldn't understand why he would want to prolong his career farther rather than retire a Bruin, which is the same frustration I have with Brady and the Patriots. But I think that the point of him sitting on the sideline, obviously, if he didn't want to retire, I'm not going to say retire or die. There's no that obviously wasn't an option for him. So
right.
If he didn't want to retire and he didn't want to be degraded as the captain, especially with the depth of leadership in the Bruins locker room, I'm not going to say no to it either, especially after everything he's given the franchise and knowing that Bergeron, even though he hasn't been named as the captain yet, which makes no sense, especially knowing that Bergeron can take the reins so easily.
Right.
It took a while to get to this point, though.
Yeah, Megan's heard this argument quite a few times.
Personal growth right here.
I was just about to come to you for your thoughts on this, Megan. How did you
seen
feel?
all the stages.
You're not a Bruins fan, but even still, how did you take it?
I did not have feelings about it at all. I was really here as a moral support for Shannon. We were recording the day it all happened, and the way we've worked through it over the 4 interviews we've done in the last week, plus our own shows. It's just kind of okay. It's a nice processing moment. I can empathize with them because I know if Sid left the Pens to go somewhere else, I would be distraught. But so I can empathize, but it doesn't really affect me.
What if Tom Wilson left the Capitals? Would you be mad?
I would follow him wherever he went.
It's like Fleury. She follows Tom
Fleury.
Wilson
I'd still get a jersey
everywhere.
I would say, I remember back in 2014 when Marty Brodeur decided that he still wanted to play, but the Devils no longer wanted to have him around because they wanted to move on with Corey Schneider for good reason too. I mean,
right.
So he went to St. Louis, and it was difficult to see him go somewhere else and play for someone other than the Devils because he had played his entire career in New Jersey. I was fortunate enough to see him play what ultimately was his final game in New Jersey, which was a win over the Bruins. Just for context. But anyway.
Sorry, Shannon.
Look, the Bruins had clinched the playoffs 2 weeks ago. They literally played nobody. I mean, it was, they just did not.
Clinching the playoffs early sounds like it.
Right, exactly. So, I can sympathize with when you have a player who's been with your organization for so long and then all of a sudden goes to another team, especially the impact that they made while they were with your team. It does suck. I mean, I know for a lot of Rangers fans like yourself, Jimmy, when Henrik Lundqvist was officially let go, albeit it was expected, we talked about it all year long, that at some point they were going to have to make a decision on that. And then for him to go to a rival like the Capitals, it was a little hard to accept. But I think after a while, people started to be okay with it. I personally, like Megan had said before, I could care less about where he was going. I mean, he could have gone to he could have gone to San Jose, and I really would have not cared one bit.
Oh my God.
But that one I was pretty kind of happy about because I don't like the Rangers. I do have a Lundqvist shirt from the Rangers because if I was going to go to MSG with a friend who had season tickets, I'm not just going to wear a Pens jersey if they're not playing. I don't want to get hated on that much.
Oh, that's
right.
what I do.
It's
that's me.
I was gonna say I've worn a Bruins jersey to Capital One when they're not playing.
Oh my!
I'm a New Yorker. I need to participate somewhat.
Right.
But I also Shane. I have a soft spot for the Caps. Tom Wilson, my boy. I'm here for it. So when he went there, I was like, you know what? I'm okay with that. I love goalies. Somehow they always end up being my favorite players. So I was like, you know what? Bring him down.
I mean, I went to a Rangers game with this guy over here. I went to a Rangers Canucks game 2 years ago, and I wore my Devils jacket, and I got.
Might I add, it was your first trip to Madison Square Garden.
Do I care? The first time I went to a hockey game.
No, you don't care. But go ahead.
At least I'm a fan of a team.
You're from New Jersey?
Thank you, Megan.
No, this I don't care.
Have you never seen Billy Joel?
Oh, I've seen Billy Joel.
Not at the Garden?
Not at the Garden, no, because I'm not like that. I'm not like that because
he's there once a month.
I do not want to spend so much money to go to one game. So the
fair enough.
I've only been to one game at the Garden in my life because I am not worth millions of dollars to give to James Dolan for a team that only just started getting good again. So no.
Not really.
Fair.
They're not really good.
They're a rebuilding team.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, at some point you're not rebuilding anymore. You're just bad. My sister's fiance every year is like, it's a rebuilding year. We'll be good in 2 years. At some point, hun, you're just bad.
Yeah.
I know.
See now, this is why I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, Neil. I apologize, but this is why I've always made the argument that tanking in sports is stupid. You're not tanking. Okay.
They go tell that to Doug Peterson. Do me a solid. Go tell that to Doug Peterson that it wasn't okay. That it's okay to tank. It's not okay. All right.
I'm still angry about that. All right.
Stupid.
I'm not going to get into that, but Neil, please go on with what you were saying.
Tanking is real, and it's alive and well. You can see.
I don't give a damn. It's pointless.
Look at the Red Wings. They tanked it. What did they get? They got the fourth overall pick because the Red Wings didn't tank. They were terrible, and they got fleeced out of the number one overall pick.
So did the Rangers tank, or were you just genuinely bad to get Lafreniere for you?
No, we all
know. They were
terrible
on the postseason.
Jimmy. I know you don't want to admit it, but you got to realize it. It's a Gary Bettman wet dream. That's why you got the first overall pick. God forbid the Rangers are kind of ass for many years. God forbid, because an original six team is terrible. There was another original six team in Detroit that was also terrible. And what did they get? They got the fourth pick. What did you get? You got a chance to go play in a meaningless playoff series and get crap kicked out of you by the Hurricanes. And then you get the first overall pick because just like John Tavares hitting the post against Columbus, the ball for the Toronto Maple Leafs also hit the post and didn't go in to get the first overall pick. So I don't want to hear this. It was rigged. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. It's obvious.
Well,
He's right. I was bitching about the playoff structure like yesterday because it was a dumb structure. So.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It was rigged. But Neil, remind me this: who was the guy that was not happy that the Rangers had the number 1 overall pick? That would happen to be me. So I don't want to hear it from you.
Rangers fan I've ever met that was like, "Oh, I hate this." How? How could you hate that? I'm a Devils fan.
Why did you want the number 1 pick?
Picks in 3 years.
Well, look. My argument was I understand that he's not going to be the main star of the team. I get that, but did you really need another winger? Really? You couldn't have gotten defense.
I mean, apparently the NHL
could have traded the pick for someone.
Player.
My other argument. Thank you, Shannon. But whatever. I'm not going to get in this whole tangent. This isn't about these ladies right here and their podcast. I'm not going to get into this argument.
Did I mention to you, Jimmy, that I hate the Rangers? Did I mention that?
Plenty of times.
I second that.
I hate the Devils mascot if I want to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw that. By the way, I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like,
this is going to like, yep. So, yeah, everyone loves Gritty, but nobody likes
No.
I can't stand Gritty. No offense.
Gritty
I hate Gritty.
I love
Gritty
Gritty.
is my worst mascot. Gritty
Thank you.
the worst.
Thank you. Gritty is the most terrifying mascot in sports. I don't think
yours has the creepiest. He looks at me so wrong. Like
Gritty's not creepy?
No, he's perfect.
Oh my God.
Jesus. Oh yeah, all right.
Perfect in all the right ways.
So wake up in the middle of the night and have that thing looking at you. Yeah. I'd
rather have the devil. Like he said, he has abs.
Yeah, he's got he jacked.
That's what he said to us on Twitter. He was like,
I don't need, you know what? I'm never going to have abs. He doesn't need to have abs. Gritty's fine.
Gritty's like the dad bod movement that happened at that one point. And then everyone was like, no, it's the muscle time. It's like going from one to the other. It depends on the time.
So now you're an advocate for the devil.
No. I am not an advocate more for Gritty.
There you go.
I'm more against Gritty.
What the hell did we just get ourselves into? My goodness.
You're talking about tanking, and that's what started this.
Yeah.
That's where we go.
Literally, but
we start with tank, we end with mascots.
Anyway, though, with all that aside, let's get into a little preview of the upcoming NHL season. So as we stand right now, we have 4 divisions for this upcoming season. We have the North, the West, the Central, and the East.
Time out.
I forgot a critical part of that. The Mass Mutual East.
Thank you.
The Scotia North.
The Honda, whatever the hell. Look, it's all Gary Bettman wants that money, so I don't blame him for doing it. It makes sense.
Yeah, no.
This is not a long-term thing. If this is a long-term thing, then I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But hey, I'm not the commissioner of the NHL, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, all the teams that we like are in the East. You got Boston, you got Buffalo, you got the Devils, you got the Islanders, you got the Rangers, the Flyers, the Penguins, and Washington.
The division of death, as we like to
pretty
call it.
much.
The division of death.
I personally didn't know how to feel when I first heard this news about how each of these divisions was going to go. But now that we're at this point, considering the fact that we are still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic and that we have these division alignments and it looks like we have an all-Canadian division, I still didn't hear, correct me if I'm wrong, but are they all playing in Canada or are they all playing here in the U.S.?
No, they're playing in Canada.
They are playing in Canada. Okay, so they were able to.
The government was very kind to allow the
right.
fact that they could actually play.
All right, good, excellent.
The fact that they were already playing in the World Juniors in Canada, but
yes, that's exactly.
They're not
what
doing a bubble format in Canada, right?
They're not. No, everybody is playing in their own arena, which is going to last about 2 weeks, and then we'll probably go to bubble. I'm just going to be honest, just considering what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right. We'll see. Hopefully
Yeah, it's true.
We hear a different take on this
we
from
can,
every podcast that we've worked with in the last 2 weeks, so it's pretty interesting.
Well, I mean, look, I would benefit from it because if they do go to the bubble, then all of you will have to come to New Jersey.
Yeah,
That'll be a lot of fun.
That is a fair point. That's a fair point. That'd be really, really fun, actually. That'd be really fun, but we'll see. But no, I mean, I guess my question to you is about each division is that what was your ladies' initial reaction to it? And do you think that this type of thing should be in place for the long haul for the National Hockey League?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, the Bruins by proxy pretty much just got put in the Metropolitan Division for the East. The Central is a weird mashup of whatever team was left. The West didn't change that much, and the Canadian Division is
Canada.
Underwhelming. It's Canada, but it's underwhelming.
Right.
I think that it's not doing that much. I mean, obviously, if they can play each other in the future, then the divisions don't matter as much. But if you kept this for the long term, it's doing absolutely nothing to integrate the fact that the U.S. and Canada do play in professional sports leagues together.
Right.
I've been saying for Belly Up's basketball that Adam Silver should be looking at expanding more into Canada since it's such an untapped market. But if you're thinking about the NHL and you're putting all of them in the same division and not integrating them together, what is that doing for the relations between the two countries, which have already been so poor because of how they've handled COVID-19 in professional sports?
No, I mean that's definitely a fair point you make, Shannon. I happen to agree with you. Megan, where do you stand on this?
I kind of look at the way this is set up in two different ways. I think this gives other teams a chance to be a top team. If you look at like where the Stanley Cup champs have come from for the last 20 years, 0 of them come from the new North Division. 0.
Right.
Right.
Maybe this gives them a chance to like, okay, someone come rise above and be a contender. Otherwise, it's just going to be Central and East have 14 of the last 20 cups. Like, they're just going to take it. Like, the East is just going to dominate. People are either going to rise or fall. It's going to be a pretty solid split from what I see.
Yeah.
It's really going to be a weird season because it's not going to give teams who are like decent a chance to have wins. It's going to have these top teams dominating over and over and over again.
So you guys think this should be just for this season, and then that's it. Continue to move forward with how things usually stand. Oh no, yeah, I definitely see that argument. I can't argue against it. I mean, I personally think the whole thing was, I don't want to say stupid, but it was very, very interesting when I first found out about it. I'm like, how are you going to make this work? I get it. We're in a pandemic and all that stuff. That's fine. If you want to make it work just for this season, okay, I get it. But if you were actually going to have talks about making it for the long haul, that would not make any sense, because eventually this pandemic is going to be over, and it looks like things are slowly starting to look up from here. But this is not the podcast for that. But I digress there. But no, it seems like, with the upcoming vaccines and stuff, I mean, why even waste your time moving forward with this after this season? Just go to what you were normally doing, and everybody's happy now. So if you want to stick with it just for this season, that's fine. But for the long haul, I happen to agree it's not going to work because nobody's going to be on board.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle with how the mindset toward it, because they're still traveling. They're just traveling a smaller distance.
Right.
And we did just discuss how a bubble is not necessarily possible because you can't ask these guys realistically to separate from their families for 56 games without any issue. That's pretty much unrealistic. However, they're still traveling. What's the difference between the Bruins going to Toronto than them going to Philly? Like, I don't necessarily understand it. If they're following COVID protocol, they're all traveling alone, they're all quarantining as they're supposed to be. I don't really see what changing the divisions is doing except for separating Canada.
But that's the thing. I feel like if you're going to separate Canada, make them this little pod, they can't be the only group that's left out. Like, if you're going to make this little area, you really have to do it for everyone, because, like, what are you going to do? Have 1/4 of the league just not participate because they can't do it? Like, if they were to put the Canadian teams down into the U.S. for a bit, like, maybe. but like without doing it that way, there isn't a way to make it so every team has their own section to play within.
Well, I mean, that's what the Blue Jays and the Raptors did. They played in the US. So, I mean, it's not out of the question.
That's 2 versus what? 7?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a lot of
that sounds
people.
about right.
Well,
But
I mean,
I mean, no, go ahead, Neil. I'm sorry.
well, I was going to comment on the matter. I mean, first
No,
of all,
go ahead.
You know, you got to go back to 1967 when the NHL started to expand after the original 6. And you got to look at the fact that the NHL has always looked at it and said, look, we got to hit the U.S. market. And the more that they expand, the less and less it seems like Canada is cared about when it comes to this. I mean, you look at it, you have 7 teams that play in Canada, and then everyone else is playing in the United States. And everybody's wondering, when are we finally going to see another Canadian team, win a Stanley Cup? And it's like, well, the problem is that when 3/4 of your league is based in one country, it's, the chances of a Canadian team finding a way with a lot of different circumstances. You're dealing with different types of money, different types of government, different types of expectations. I mean, there's different things that go on here. Also, you have a lot of people from, parts of Canada that are playing and coaching and being general managers in the United States. I mean, it's not like it's American people doing American things. But I get why the NHL is doing everything that they've done so far with realignment, with, putting sponsors on the helmets, with everything that they're doing. I get it. At the end of the day, they're trying to recoup the money that they've lost. My attitude when the owners are talking about, woe is me, I'm losing millions of dollars, do me a solid. Go tell someone who gives a damn. Because honestly,
throw me a milli and then we'll talk.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We were hoping to get a $2,000 stimulus check, and some brilliant decided, no, we're not going to do that. You get $600. And then you have billionaires that are bitching and moaning about the fact that they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and they can still live the life that they've lived their entire life. I mean, honestly, go tell someone who actually will give a crap about what you have to say.
This is what greed does to people. And I hate to say it, but it's sad.
Otherwise, it's just shut up and just deal with it. This is what annoyed me about MLB owners. This is what annoyed me about the NBA, the National Football League, and what's bugging me about the NHL. Now, the NHL is complaining about it a little bit less than the other leagues, but still, it's
not kind of par for the course.
Right, exactly. And it's
generally you get from us.
And you have some owners that own more than one team in a different sport. Look at the Devils. The Devils ownership group also owns the Philadelphia 76ers. So, I mean, there's things with that. But looking at this division and everything, first of all, everybody is, saying that the Devils are going to finish in dead last, and that's okay. I kind of expected everyone.
I have them as my dark horse. So.
I don't know about dead last. Their team's young. I think
they fall below them.
Can someone explain to me? You mean to tell me that the Devils team that we have this year, with the relatively decent talent we have, you mean to tell me that we're worse than Buffalo? What is
no, absolutely not.
Retread Taylor Hall. Explain that to me. I mean, honestly, like, what do they have? Ristolainen? I mean, he's a great player, but
Jack Eichel they still have, but he wants out of there. So
is Linus Ullmark gonna pull a 30-win season out of his butt this year? I mean, like, what are we talking about here?
All bets are off this year, though. Like, this is the year. If you're gonna make a wild prediction, do it now.
Exactly.
I would agree.
It's a weird short season. It made sense.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the excuse you're going to get all the time this season. When somebody gets COVID, when somebody gets hurt, everything, all you're going to get is, it's a shortened season, it doesn't count. Right?
If Buffalo wins the Stanley Cup, you're buying me in New Jersey.
Fair enough. But
fair enough. Wow. Okay.
At the end of the day, we have to remember this year in particular
I didn't see that coming.
This year is not a marathon; it's a sprint. Straight up. You got to get off to a hot start right away. You can't lose 4 or 5 early on in the season, because then you're putting yourself in a position where you have no prayer of coming back. And the division that all of the teams that we like are in, there's very little to no margin for error. None of these teams can start off slow. I hate saying that. And that's what's difficult about it. And, again, what will be fun, though, is that we might get some Stanley Cup matchups that we never thought we could possibly get. I would like to see an original six matchup, other than last time was 2013, I believe.
Yes.
So I get what they're doing this year. I get it. And I wish money wasn't a factor, because if it wasn't a factor, I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer that everybody, supposedly says that I am. But in all seriousness, considering what's still going on in the world, I just don't think we should be playing, period. I mean, I hate saying that, but if money wasn't a factor, I don't think the NHL would be playing right now. I'm just going to be flat out. I don't think any sports league, whether it's professional or college, would be playing at this moment. So we all know why things are happening the way that they are. And
really sports in general wouldn't have played?
Do you know how many COVID tests they're using in professional sports that they should be using for people?
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
College
the point.
sports for a year to not have anyone play.
What?
You take away for college. If you said college, if you took away college football, what's your draft? Where is everyone going?
Exactly.
James Wiseman just got drafted second, and he played 3 college games. They don't need to see them play.
No, here's a good example. No,
you have certain players who need that last year. So if you have someone who comes into it looking like crap from their junior,
just because they need it for the draft doesn't mean it's safe to do so.
Look,
saying if you take it away, you lose that natural flow of professional sports. It's not like hockey in our draft. You get someone into your organization, same with baseball. You don't see them for years sometimes. It doesn't matter. But you have football players, your picks, almost always, your top 2 rounds are going straight into your roster, straight into your games, straight as financially equitable players.
Right.
That off by a year and change messes the entire system up.
Well, I mean, it's still going to have the college basketball is barely happening right now, so the NBA draft's going to be screwed up from.
I mean, you look at the
but imagine having that for every single sport.
Exactly. That's why some of the systems are rigged. But I digress.
I mean, it's just that's just what we're dealing with. So look, we have to remember that once this pandemic started, and when you talk about it from a sports standpoint, nobody was going to be fully satisfied.
Right.
Nobody was going to be happy with anything that they decided to do. I mean, that's just plain and simple. Talking about college real quick, the only sport that I think, really screwed itself by deciding to play was college football. I mean, there was a lot of debate for a lot of different things this year. With some leagues deciding to start, some conferences deciding to start at, weeks after technically the season began, and all this controversy with teams like should Ohio State be in the Final Four. I mean, they certainly proved it against Clemson. There is no question.
I was just going to say that they shut everybody up.
But again, look, the bottom line is simply this, just kind of, ending this, is that this should only be a 1-year thing. The NHL should understand, don't try this again, because it's not going to work. If we get a legitimate Stanley Cup matchups, like, I don't know, Tampa and maybe Colorado, I guess. I don't know. I'm throwing out random teams. Okay. But if we're going to get Buffalo against, I don't know,
Calgary,
Phoenix?
Detroit.
Yeah.
Buffalo and Calgary. Wow. Okay.
Well, how about Phoenix? How about the Coyotes, right? Would anybody sit there, any hockey fan, any sports fan would sit there and say, this was legit after 50 games? That's what I'm saying. So, and I get that they're also trying to do the outdoor games at Lake Tahoe. I don't see how that's going to work.
I would be there.
Oh, same.
It would be great if we could all go. It's
What about it are you skeptical of?
What was that?
What are you skeptical of about it?
About the Lake Tahoe situation?
Yeah.
How they're going to, I think I was reading several of the articles that the NHL is going to do a bunch of new things with regards to, video cameras and how they're going to present. I'm just kind of curious to wonder if they're going to try to make it more interesting for the casual hockey fan, or if they're going to direct their promotion and everything towards the diehards, so to speak, if that makes sense. Because sometimes these leagues, they want to try to get more people to watch these games and to try to find ways to get.
What they need to do, they need to have for every outdoor game a Road to the Winter Classic type build-up, and they need to feed off of the U&Is to get us to that game.
Yes.
I agree 100% because
100% agree.
When that series was really big back in the early, 2010s.
Oh, it still runs my life.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we all look forward to every single year with the Winter Classic. It's like we get to see that behind the scenes stuff. It was awesome, especially when HBO was doing it. I mean, they were doing really well. Kind of fell off the rails with that, but that is what it is. But I would love to see the NHL do something like that for this because
that's what I was saying in the beginning when Shannon and I started talking about this before they even announced the 56 games, all of that on our very first guest appearance somewhere. It was we need solid stadium series games.
Yes.
We need not even just one. We need it at least 2 per division if they could even make that work. Not saying it's possible, but if they could pull that off, not even just the playing and the camaraderie, the financial benefit they could get from that.
Well, that's what
merch, doing all of this, all this special programming could be such a benefit if they could make it work.
I agree.
We were talking before we started recording about how the retro jerseys are sold out everywhere. Why do they not come out with more jersey designs? I don't understand why, if the NHL does literally so well in jersey sales, why they're not capitalizing on that opportunity, knowing
signed to Tom Wilson.
Well, knowing that the NBA does this entire City Edition series, it does so well. They really capitalize into the history.
And they also have those old retro throwback uniforms, from the 80s and 90s. They have all those.
Well, if the NHL wants to really capitalize on Original Six and making sure that those teams are really cherished, why are you not going into the history of every team and doing jerseys like that? Obviously, reverse retro is one thing. They look cool, but they don't have the same story that they could if they did something like a City Edition or something in detail like that. Obviously, I really my favorite of the outdoor jerseys has been when the Penguins and Penguins and the Flyers played each other, and they had the complimentary jerseys. That was really cool.
Right.
And I think there's so many opportunities they can do with jerseys that will make the money back that fans won't be mad about, the same way that they're mad about ads and selling to corporate entities and things like that.
Right.
I want to go off of what Meg just said before about, having multiple outdoor games per division. That's really important because I think the NHL, what they lack in why they're considered still to be the 4th most popular sport in North America, especially in the United States, is primarily because of the fact that they just are not aggressive enough when it comes to promoting their game. I mean, here's a funny example. Look at the NFL and I think it's CBS. They're partnering with Nickelodeon to do some of these this weekend. You don't think that little kids, 4 and 5-year-old kids, are going to be hyped to watch that?
Oh, they're gonna be thrilled.
And might get into football because of it. It makes sense. I remember Evander Kane of the San Jose Sharks said straight up on Twitter that the NHL has to do a much better job of promoting itself. And a lot of these players have to really try to get out of their shells. And we need to incorporate people, social media managers and things like that to kind of get these guys out of their comfort zone and to say, look, there is a big benefit to why we're having you guys do things like this. And if you're having outdoor games, right, and you don't have to always have them in stadiums, you could go to Lake Placid where they have the outdoor pond hockey tournament every year.
Yep.
And you can have a game out there. You don't think a lot of people who may not even be hockey fans might go and check that out? I mean, that's incredible.
You're right.
Hockey that don't even know about it.
Exactly. And then you have a league if you want to talk about expanding the game, you got to promote the women's hockey even more. The National Women's Hockey League is playing in a bubble in Lake Placid, and NBC is going to be covering it. Do you realize how huge that is? That NBC is doing that?
Yeah.
But they need to do that more. There's more that needs to be done in order to promote the game. Yeah. If you want to make hockey more popular and make it possible where maybe, I don't know, at some point down the road, they jump to maybe the 3rd or even, God forbid, 2nd, most popular sport.
Who are they going over?
I mean, I'd rather they go over baseball, but that's my opinion.
I'm here with that. Yeah.
So, It sounds about right.
I think baseball is the most popular in terms of money, though, isn't it?
In
Yes.
money, it is, yes.
Yes, money-wise,
NFL and
yes.
NBA, yep. But look, at the end of the day, the NHL just has to stop getting in its own way. They seem to be okay with having their percentage of diehard fans. They never seem to be comfortable with really expanding out to other areas that could get them more fans.
Kind of like
And-
a fix what's not broken for them. Like they're like, okay,
Right.
we still fill our
Exactly.
stadiums. Why do more?
Right. They don't want to go the extra mile. The NBA, Major League Baseball, the National Football League, they're always, every day, they wake up and they're like, how can we push the envelope even more when it comes to expanding our league, the sport, everything. You have to remember there was a time when football wasn't the national pastime as it is considered now. There was a time in the 50s and 60s where baseball was king, and the NFL started to do things like you had a rival league. You had Monday Night Football, which took the NFL to the roof.
Yep.
Everything like that. The NHL can do that. It's not that hard. You just have to do it. We're talking about in order to get comfortable, you have to get uncomfortable. This is what the NHL has to do. A lot of the stuff that they're doing now, they're only doing primarily for money to try to regain that. But they need to look at this year and realize no fans are going to be involved early on in the stands. It might change later on in the season, but this is an opportunity where you can use technology to really, really get more people into this sport because they're going to be stuck at home doing nothing on a Saturday night. They turn on the TV at 7 o'clock and you have an original 6 game being played outdoors at, I don't know, the old Candlestick Park, if it's still there in San Francisco. I don't know. I'm just throwing out random things.
Do you have any idea how epic that would be, though?
No, but like that's
so many of these stadiums would be like get the Flyers and the Penguins in Beaver Stadium, get like LA and Vegas in new SoFi, like get people in these new
get another hockey game at get another hockey game in what's it called Michigan. Remember when there was an outdoor game there? How many people went? 100,000 people.
It was the largest gathering for a hockey game.
Exactly.
I guarantee you there were people there that had never seen a hockey game before in their life.
Yeah, do more stuff like that, and you'll get more fans.
Absolutely. And you gotta bring it back to the heritage because people will look at hockey, especially if you learn the history of it, and say, "Holy crap, this is incredible! Like how far hockey has come." So it's just all these things. So the divisions, cool, I guess. I mean, I knew that the Devils were gonna be put in this division right from the get-go. I mean, there was no way that we were not going to play virtually the same teams that we've been playing before, with the exception of Boston and Buffalo. But, I mean, it's just, we all know that this is a season like no other. If you guys remember, the NHL did a thing in 2014 when you had Stadium Series, Winter Classic, and the Olympics.
Yep.
They did a whole documentary, which was a 6-part series called NHL 14, a season like no other, or something. NHL Reveal.
Yes.
You need to do stuff like that. This is the perfect year to do that. A season like no other. How can you say that this is this is not a season like no other? I mean, this is.
And they've already proved that they can do like films that way. Like the fact that they did Hard Knocks this year proves like you can do a video show. And it showed the COVID protocol. And like when I saw that for the Chargers and the Rams, I was like, oh, wait, that's actually kind of cool how they have their like stuff set up. And it kind of like helps you understand it, what's going on, and like rationalize the sport and gives you something to live for kind of. But it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like they've already shown you can do it in this weird time. So why not do it?
Exactly.
It's totally possible. It's about the NHL making the decision to go that extra mile to say,
give that narrator voice.
Right. And just say, look, you got to take the kid gloves off. It's, it's 2021. We gotta get going here. We got to expand, and expanding to a place like Seattle. I mean, I like the name. I like everything that they're doing, but to put a team in Seattle, I mean, that's okay. That's okay.
We're pretty pro Kraken, so.
That's, I mean, most people are, and I'm not knocking the fact that there's a team in Seattle. I'm just saying that there are opportunities to really expand even more, but not necessarily from a team standpoint, but from the sports standpoint.
Right.
I mean, I've said before, can you imagine if they could do an outdoor hockey game in Hawaii? I mean, honestly, just think about
I'm there.
Think about
Dude,
that.
So
Think about
Shut up
that.
and take my money. I'm going to Hawaii if that happens.
you want my credit card? Like,
Yeah.
They could fill a whole stadium to watch a Pro Bowl game in Hawaii. They could put an outdoor hockey game there. People were talking about bad weather and hot weather, and we had it in Vegas many years ago in the 90s. We had it in California. I'm waiting to do it in Florida. I'm really waiting on that. You know, you put it in Hawaii, do you realize the amount of money that the NHL could make? Do you realize the amount of publicity that not just the hockey news would cover, but news in general would go absolutely nuts? They would say, how the hell are you playing a hockey game in Honolulu? I mean, how are you doing that? And then they do it. And it's possible because they've done it before. So the NHL has to market itself a lot better if they're going to not only get the money back that they've lost, but to also get extra money and to promote the sport even more, to make it even more popular than it is now.
100%. I could not agree with everything more that you guys just said. So now to quickly wrap things up here on the show, season expectations for each of your team. Ladies, we'll start with you. Let's start with Shannon. Season expectations for your Boston Bruins this year. Go.
For expectations, how they're going to do?
Yes. Do you think they're going to win the division? Do you think they're going to do well in the playoffs? Do you think they're not going to make the playoffs? Like, what do you expect from them this season?
You know, they were the President's Trophy holder prior to going to the bubble. And then they had a rocky start once they got to the bubble, but they made it out. So I do have high expectations for them. They had a huge loss from losing Torrey Krug. That can't be overlooked, and it's something that I'm really interested to see how they kind of overcome in training camp, because they didn't make any significant roster additions. They really only took losses between Krug and Chara. And I think that we do have a good prospect depth in terms of how we can fill that. It's just if they're able to really make that jump. And I do think that losing Chara from a leadership perspective is not something that I need to be concerned about, because we have Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Charlie McAvoy is really coming up as a leader. So I think that in that vein, we should be all right. I'm a little worried about our defense, but my biggest concern is that our division is the hardest in the league. So it's going to be hard playing those same tough teams over and over and over, while other divisions that are particularly soft, even if the entire division is not very good, the competition is much less. It's not going to be an accurate depiction, and I think that's probably not fair for the Bruins. But I am hopeful. I don't think that we can really go too far down from where we were last year, except for our competition. So I think that we'll have a good season. I think we'll easily make the top four that go to the playoffs from the East Division, but I wouldn't confidently say that we're going to win the division, just because the Capitals are great. The Flyers, even though I picked them as my fall short team in our last episode, they're good. Like I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that we'll go to the playoffs. From there, it'll be interesting to see, because we'll be able to play some guys outside of our division.
God, I hope you're wrong about the Flyers. Megan, what about you and the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I'm a little conflicted. Like, I want us to do well. I think since our back-to-back wins in the finals, we've kind of just been on a lull. We have a lot of the same guys around still who are going to make a splash. We do have one injury of note that I think. Aston Reese is out, and he's good. He's pretty reliable. He's there for us when you really need him. But you still have guys like Tanev, Rust, like who else? Gensel's there. I feel like he is still like growing, getting better. Then you have like reliables, Malkin, Crosby, Letang expected back this year after a lot of time away.
Right.
Like, we have a lot to rely on. Hopefully Jari is gonna do great. I feel like we have potential to come back. It's just, I don't know if we're exactly ready yet to be that top team again.
Neil, what about you and your Devils?
All right, so should I give what everyone else is saying, or should I go off of
what you think?
Everyone else apparently.
Don't worry about what everyone else thinks. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's nice to know that we're actually in a rebuild now, as opposed to not really knowing if we were in a rebuild the last 5 years. Thank you, Ray Shiro. Look, the expectation for us is that we just got to be competitive. We're going to be playing in the toughest division in all of the NHL. And this is good. A lot of Devils fans say that it's bad for a young team like us, but I think it's actually good because it gives us that ultimate competition to really actually put the bar really high and say, where do we stack up with everyone else that we're playing? And that's the way we got to look at it. Right from the first puck drop against Boston, we're taking on a Boston team that won the President's Trophy the year before.
Right.
That's going to be, and they don't have Chara, but they're still a very good team, and the Devils are very young. And we're going to have some guys that have never played in the NHL before that are going to be playing. Guys like Ty Smith, possibly Igor Sharangovich, considering what he did in the KHL this year. You have a couple other guys. Nico's back. Hopefully he's healthy, for the first game. Jack Hughes, who put on 15 pounds, basically becoming Jack Hughes, is going to be back, hopefully for a better second year. Jesper Bratt, Nikita Gusev, Kyle Palmieri. We got Andreas Janssen. I mean, we have a lot of offense. There is no question. I think that our offense is not going to be an issue. I think we're a team that can average, multiple goals a game. I don't think there's any question. The defense is the number one thing. I think that we improved a little bit, but that still might be the Achilles heel, especially with Lindy Ruff's offensive style and how aggressive he has his defensemen come up in the play. But we'll see. But I think now we can kind of relax that we have a legitimate goaltending tandem of Mackenzie Blackwood and Corey Crawford. And I think that that's going to be a thing that we're going to have to rely on very much this season with both of them playing well. But I think that the Devils are a team that the best that they could do is probably just miss out on the top four. That's the way that I look at it. I don't think that we're a playoff team. I think that we are a team that needs to grow. But I will give one hot take. Okay. Don't be surprised if the Devils start calling Winnipeg about Line A again. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets start panicking halfway through this season because you're already hearing once again that the Jets are pretty much like, I think we just have to move Line A at this point. And also Roslovich. I mean, they're still figuring out him as well. The Devils having one of the highest amount of cap space, even after they eventually re-sign Jesper Bratt, they're still going to have over $10 million in cap space.
Right.
And they're going to have a lot of cap space for the next couple of years with a lot of control of some of the guys that we have, especially the young guys. Line A wants that money, and I think the Devils could do it. And I think that they could be willing to give up, talent if it works out for them. But I don't think they'll have to break the bank because I think Winnipeg's going to get desperate. But I would say that the Devils are a team that could finish in 5th or 6th place in the division. I don't like the fact that everyone just wants to immediately assume that we're going to be not only the worst team in this division, but some people have said that they're going to be the worst team in the Eastern Conference.
No.
And I know where that's coming from. It's the classic nobody likes the New Jersey Devils. Nobody's liked them since they came into the league in the early 80s. I've known this because I'm a Devils fan my whole life. I know it. And we have to play against your damn team 4 games in a row in April, which, by the way, we're going to win all 4. I'm telling you that up front now.
Yeah, okay. We'll see about that.
But you know what? As we have our new mantra this year, enjoy the ride. That's what I'm going to do. Whatever happens, happens. This is going to be a fun year. It's going to be an interesting year. And that's pretty much my long, answer to your question.
You missed one crucial piece about the defense.
What's that?
PK?
Well, PK's single now, so he has all the time in the world to practice.
God. Everybody wanted me on the last episode of the Devil's State of Mind podcast. People asked me to talk about the PK situation, and I said, look, the only thing I'm going to comment on is simply this. If it starts affecting his game, I'm going to start tweeting at Lindsey Vonn to please get back together with me. Because we really
tweeting at him to give me some interest.
That's also fair. I mean, he's very vocal. He's very active on social media, so it's quite possible.
So Megan, you just need to start tweeting at PK instead of tweeting at Marc-Andre Fleury.
No.
Yeah, she's definitely not.
I remember when the Devils this offseason before they got Crawford, they were linked to getting Fleury, and I'm like, why are we doing that?
Yeah, no
want
way.
to spend that much. I was like, I don't want to spend $4.5 million.
I think Megan would quit if he went to the Devils.
She wouldn't even buy it. Nobody would.
Yeah, she would. She would get the classic Devils jersey.
Get this one. I mean, that's just, I think that's, so, we'll see. We'll see what happens. PK, this is put up or shut up, because if he doesn't improve, he's going to Seattle. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
But I still have confidence in him, and he's a leader now. He's a leader in the locker room. So is Travis Zajac. So is Nico Hischier. We got leaders in that locker room. And we got Lindy Ruff, and we could do it.
Who's your captain?
We don't have a captain. I think we're gonna go Ranger style and just have all alternates.
Just have no captains at all.
Yeah, because you guys haven't had a captain in like 5 years.
Well, I'm still of the argument that the captain still should be Mika Zibanejad, but I'm not going to get into that tangent here. But listen, as far as my expectations for the Rangers, I'm going to be 100% real with you. I have expectations. Here's why I have expectations. Look, I get it. They're a young team. They're really exciting. I get that. You have Alexis Lafreniere with the number 1 overall pick. You still got Mika, who looks like he's going to be out for a little bit of an amount of time, which is a bit of a concern. I hope he's okay. But you still have Ryan Strome. You still have Tony DeAngelo. You got 2 great young goaltenders in Igor Shesterkin and Alexander Georgiev. Look, I believe in these guys. I really, really do. And their head coach, David Quinn, I think he has done a tremendous job with this team. He's a no-nonsense guy. And, Neil, what have we always talked about? He is not afraid to tell you how it is, and he's not afraid to bench you if you're not playing well. Look, go back to when he benched Kevin Shattenkirk.
I was going to say, after his first game as the head coach, he benches Shattenkirk for 3 straight.
Yep.
The tone right away.
Yeah.
I was impressed by that. I said, wow, that's really, I mean, it didn't work out. It didn't work out for either side, and Shattenkirk won a cup, but,
Yeah, well, it's whatever. Look, the moment that happened, I said, yeah, this is definitely our head coach of the future, and he has been very, very promising. I believe in him, and I believe in this team. I really, really do. I want these guys to have all the success in the world. But if I'm being 100% honest, this team is not a playoff team just yet. They're not. I still think they have a couple more years left until they can fully – I think they're going to be competitive. Don't get me wrong. They're going to be competitive. But playoff team – to be honest, I'm not ready to call them a playoff team just yet. Give it a couple more years for the chemistry to develop between the young players, especially with Lafreniere, because I know, look.
A couple more years?
Well, for them to be a playoff team.
You're not in a rebuild, right?
What? Oh, my God.
No,
I'm not getting that argument here.
Jimmy. 2 years?
Yeah, Jimmy, the question really is, what are the Rangers? Like, what are they? Building team?
I think right now the Rangers are a young competitive team that's not ready for the playoffs yet.
So
Can
still
you be
rebuilding.
competitive and not ready for the playoffs?
What was that, Shannon?
Can you be competitive but not a playoff team?
Yes.
Look at the Giants. Look at the New York Giants.
The Giants aren't competitive.
They were competitive most of the season.
Danny Dimes is competitive. The Giants aren't competitive.
Hold on. What did
you say?
I said Danny Dimes is competitive.
Oh my God. Oh. Danny Dimes. Daniel Jones is
you just put Neil in a tailspin on this argument.
He's not a franchise quarterback. Who from Duke has ever done anything? I mean, really, in football. I mean,
nobody's ever watched a Duke football game.
Have you watched? Competitive.
Saquon deserves better.
Yeah,
who watches North Dakota State football?
Deserves better.
No, wait, no.
Thank you, Megan.
Shannon made a good point. Who watches North Dakota football? Really good point. Nobody knows.
That's 100% true.
Competitive and not making the playoff. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do. I mean, well, not trying to, but that's, I think, what's going to end up happening. But
you just said the Devils are going to be competitive.
I feel like competitive but not a playoff team is just a really nice way to say I don't want to call my team bad, but, like, they're bad.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard to be honest about your own team.
I mean, I think you're underselling.
I did a great job of being
better
honest
than you're
about my own
saying.
team.
But
I said we just aren't
Look,
ready yet.
There's nothing saying that the Devils can't be the 8th seed, or I don't know how many seeds they're going to have in this whole thing.
Eight.
But
There are 8 seeds,
it's
yeah.
still going to be 8. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing saying the Devils can't do it because again, like I said, this is a sprint, not a marathon. If the Devils get off to a hot start, and let's say Washington, Philadelphia, a bunch of teams start off really slow, the Devils could immediately take advantage of that and
We're
run.
really good at like a mid-season high.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
when's mid-season like Valentine's Day? Like,
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
You know
It's
what?
not- I
It'll
think
be a great Valentine's Day for me and Sidney Crosby.
Oh, my God.
you gotta pick one man.
Well, I don't want to date Crosby.
Who is it? You're going to reach out to PK Subban or stick with Crosby? Which one is it?
No, it's
I don't
Fleury.
like Crosby.
Oh, it's Fleury. I'm
Tom
Fleury.
Wilson.
I'm sorry, Fleury.
I was going for Jake Gensel, but he just got engaged.
Oh.
Tom Wilson's single.
Sorry to hear that.
Is Tom Wilson? No, Tom Wilson has a really pretty girlfriend. What are you talking about?
No, he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. He absolutely does. And hey,
I think Shannon said he was single.
I'm pretty sure he's single. I'll look it up.
Isn't he
Listen,
dating a really pretty blonde?
listen though. I will say this. Would I be shocked if the Rangers made the playoffs? No.
They got a puppy,
I wouldn't. Because look, I know this team.
Wouldn't be shocked.
What?
Wouldn't be shocked.
No, I wouldn't. Because I know this team can do
That's
it.
popular opinion.
Jimmy, your Achilles heel is that Tony D'Angelo spends more time tweeting about worthless stuff than he does actually playing hockey.
That's
Your problem.
That is true. And truth be told, I wish he'd stop. But hey, I can't control his life. But listen,
He deleted his Twitter account.
well, man,
Yeah,
there you go.
hammered.
Well,
Again.
there you go. There's that. But listen, here's my biggest concern with the Rangers.
Yep.
Special teams. Their power play has been abysmal. Well, not abysmal. It hasn't been the best.
It's been abysmal.
They pass more than they shoot it.
You are finally honest. You
Work
said
on that. I think their special teams will be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you thought that Lindy Ruff was the problem. What you failed
I never said that. A whole bunch of Ranger fans said he was the problem.
because guess what? When you're having an offensive coach be a defensive coach, do you really think that's just going to magically all of a sudden work? That's
true.
Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't mean to cut you off before, Shannon, but what were you saying?
Oh, Tom Wilson is in fact not single. Him and his girlfriend just got a puppy. So
Oh,
he's very cute.
that's
They
cute.
They spent New Year's with Ovechkin and his woman.
There you go. That's it.
the Devils
All right.
have. I think the Devils now have the most single guys in the NHL.
Well, Megan, you gotta go back to New Jersey.
We have I think half of the roster is just a bunch of guys that haven't even been with a girl yet. That's just the attitude that we've gotten. I mean,
I need to get back to LBI though.
I watched. I was on Instagram and 5 of the Devils were hanging out on New Year's together, just them and a dog. So
Sweet
that was pretty
boys.
much it was their New Year's.
Yeah, I don't think any more needs to be said right
I mean,
there.
Nico
But anyway.
is still single, at least as far as I know. So I mean, there's a lot of teams that I know want him. You got
Oh.
you got young guys. You want a young. Jack Hughes is still only 19 and he doesn't have a girlfriend as far as
I
I
am
know.
not that young.
It's an infant.
That is not
Facts.
A lot of the fans of the Devil State of Mind podcast, they're about his age and they create fan pages for that kid.
Oh my
We're at
God.
that
Looks
point.
like a baby too. Like, can he even grow facial hair?
Can you go?
He tried and he can only grow it up here, not down here.
Oh my God.
But that's just they have a lot of single guys. We're a pretty single team. So
Anyway, with all that being said, just to wrap this up here, I know it's a little bit early to predict this here, but heck, we always like to do this on the show, so we figured why not do it now?
Yep.
Who do you guys think has the best shot of going to the Stanley Cup final this year?
going, jeez.
Megan's got the jersey. I'm assuming she
no,
says Vegas.
Hell no.
No.
I've been waiting for this.
Overrated team in the National Hockey.
They are a contender. They have done well since they came along. They have a chance. If you think the Devils and the Rangers have a chance, the Vegas can do it. Like, of the three of us, I have the biggest claim.
Hold on. Time out. And I don't mean to cut you off, Megan. I apologize. But first of all, the Rangers and Devils are not winning the damn thing for a while, all right? So let me get that out of the way right now.
Thank you for admitting it.
Number two,
neither one of us has expectations that we're going to win the cup this year, okay?
Well, it's nice to set low expectations, but when you're wearing jerseys of winners, you can...
Oh, yeah, all right, cool.
Oh,
yeah, I'm sorry. How many cups does Vegas have, honestly? I lost track.
How many years have they been in the league?
Do I look like I care?
Oh, my God.
It's like saying how many cups to Seattle have.
No.
Exactly.
I'm speak
Exactly.
a Devils fan who dealt with Pete DeBoer. Let me know when his system starts pissing you off.
Oh, boy.
Eventually, it's going to piss them off. Oh, and by the way, they've been screwing with players for the past 6 months. They screwed with Fleury. They were sort of screwing with Robin Leonard for about 5 minutes. Pacioretty, Marcia So, Mark Stone, they were screwing with for 5 minutes. You know, they're a disaster waiting to happen. So they better win the cup in the next 2 years, or they are going to basically take the Tampa Bay Lightning's place as the meme of the NHL. That's just what I'm going to say.
Wow.
Isn't that how it goes, though? You've got a few years to be a contender, and then you're just like the Penguins.
You're basically just the laughing stock of the entire league.
Did you just say the Penguins? I'm sorry.
I heard.
What? Wait, what? No, the Penguins did not come out of my mouth. Come on.
That came out of Shannon's mouth, bro.
Okay.
I
Never
have
mind,
5 cups.
Yeah, but you just sit in the bubble of success since you...
Yeah, 5 cups.
So, what's wrong with sitting in a bubble of success?
The bubble outside of success.
Oh, I was like...
Yes, the Penguins have 5 cups, but they've also had 2 bankruptcies. In that time frame. So
that isn't the player's fault.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like telling me that hockey's not surrounded by ads because the players didn't pick the ads on the boards.
I didn't say it's because the players don't pick. I said it's because who's looking at the boards.
How can you miss them?
Why are you paying attention to them? Unless you're going to stand into one, what are they there for?
All I know is this. I'm very entertained by this discussion, but we can have more of this off the air. But Shannon, what about you? Who do you think has the best chance to go to the final this year?
I said Colorado. I think they're a good option because their division is not very competitive besides Vegas. I think Edmonton also has a pretty good chance. McDavid and Draisaitl led the league in points and goals / assists respectively last year. And Edmonton's been on the cusp of being successful, higher than the Penguins, but still the cusp for years now, and they haven't done anything with it. So I'd like to see them do something with it. I'd like to see them get somewhere. The Canadian division, besides Calgary, has literally nothing to be competitive over. So I think that Edmonton does have a shot in terms of getting a higher seed. I don't remember, besides the round robin, how they're exactly doing the seeding in that manner, but I think that it'll benefit the better teams in Canada. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that potentially works for them. In terms of the East, I think it's a complete toss-up. I don't know.
Neil, what about you?
To be honest with you, I think the Islanders. I think that you look at the way that they played last year. I think you look at the fact that Barry Trotz's system has still been very difficult to solve. I know that the Islanders lost in the conference finals, but let's face it, the Lightning were a team of destiny. And once you're in that realm, and when you have the juju going, there pretty much isn't anything you could do to stop it. You look at the Islanders, their goaltending situation just got a lot better. You have Semyon Varlamov and you have Ilya Sorokin. And from what I've heard, now he hasn't played a single minute in the NHL yet. But from what I've heard and what I've seen from what he played in the KHL, this dude is legit. This dude is no swell. This guy too. And with a defensive system that is very tough to beat, that the Islanders have, it's just going to make life that much easier for both goaltenders. And Trotz, is a Stanley Cup champion. He has experience. He knows what it takes. The Islanders, like some of the other teams that the ladies have mentioned, are on the cusp. Now, if they can get Barzal on a contract, which they'll probably end up signing him to a bridge deal and not a long-term deal, then they'll be okay. But,
Right.
I think the Islanders have a legitimate shot. I hate doing this because I think they're going to choke again, but Toronto has a chance. But I think
Toronto?
Talk about choke city.
Thank you.
That's why I said I hate saying it, because they just choke every year. I'm going to throw out a really wild, team out here and say that they could make a run considering how crazy this year could be. But Columbus, Columbus is playing in the Atlantic Division, which is not really that ultra competitive.
Right.
Columbus did make the playoffs last year. They did beat Toronto in the play-in round.
Right.
So, it's possible with Korpisalo hopefully not having to make 80 or 90 saves a game. But, there's some teams out there, in that far Pacific or West Division, St. Louis maybe, but, is Torrey Krug a better replacement for Alex Pietrangelo? I mean, is it that, maybe it's a little bit quicker.
Right, yeah.
Is it, it's different. Vegas, obviously, look, it's put up or shut up. They keep adding more and more players and somehow not going over the cap, even though they still technically are, and have to move somebody at some point. They got to do it. They have to do it. Because if they don't, and they start really, and their players start getting really old and they start to decline, it's going to be pretty embarrassing for them, because they've had the riches of talent from a team that just started a couple of years ago. So, and again, they're lucky because they don't have to deal with the Seattle expansion, which is ridiculous in my opinion, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Look, it's going to be, it's going to be interesting. Like Shannon said, the Eastern Conference in a way is kind of up in the air. The West, or like the West Canadian division, you could throw out a couple teams. Edmonton, if their goaltending is not pure garbage, they could be competitive. So we'll see. I really don't have a prediction because I could not honestly tell you. Like, it was the same thing like when we were previewing the Giants this year, back when the season began. I couldn't give you a prediction because I literally had no idea what we were going to see, because we didn't have preseason. We didn't have anything.
Right.
Like, I couldn't even tell you what the Devils are going to really look like until they actually start playing. I couldn't be able to tell you. So, but I think that the team that actually is going to end up winning the Cup overall is probably the Colorado Avalanche. That team is ultra stacked. I mean, they're ready to go. They're ready to make that next step to being a Stanley Cup contender. They've gotten close, and I think this is the year that they do it. In a season where it's only 56 games, I think it benefits them wholeheartedly.
I 100% agree with you and Shannon here. Colorado definitely has the best chance in my eyes, especially with McKinnon and Cale Makar. I mean, are you absolutely kidding me? I mean, their goaltending's solid. Their defense is solid. They have a terrific head coach. I think Colorado is definitely a team that you should not want to face in the postseason. They are going to be a scary, scary team for many, many years, in my opinion.
And they got one of the most underrated signings this offseason when they brought in Devon Toews. And I'm telling you right now, the Islanders are going to sorely miss him, because that guy could easily be a top 6 forward with his potential and what he's able to create. So, and I think that's going to be a guy that's really going to be beneficial for that Colorado team. Their goaltending is the thing that I'm most, concerned about, and see if the goaltending can stay healthy.
Right.
Then it'll be fine.
No, right. Absolutely. I agree. But Colorado, to me, is definitely the team to watch out for. I happen to agree with you and Shannon. But Megan, for the Knights, Neil's right. It's put up or shut up for them. If they don't do it within the next couple of years, I hate to say it, they might be a team that's going to be the laughing stock of the NHL. But hey, we'll see if that time comes. Go ahead, Neil. I'm sorry.
I also just wanted to say up front that Finland just beat Russia to win the bronze medal. So that was kind of an upset, considering that Finland yesterday could have very easily come back. I mean, they came back from down 2 goals and nearly won against the United States. But yes,
Okay.
Finland will finish third with the bronze medal. And then I guess like in an hour, USA versus Canada in the gold medal game. And all of my buddies at the Hockey Pod Network are itching for me to get on so they can, because most of the guys that I work with are Canadian. There's not a lot of US guys working at the network. So if we're able to pull off the upset tonight, I'm going to lose my absolute,
We'll see what happens. But before we let you ladies go, how can everybody follow you? How can they find out more about you?
Yeah, find us on social. Our Twitter, @SweetheartsPod. Our Instagram, Slapshot Sweethearts. All my social is @Miss Meg Rach. You can find us from our pod pages. Yeah, find us on social. We love hearing from everyone. We love getting to interact with everyone. Social's been really great and receptive to us. So we're definitely trying to get that next tier of followers. We're so close. So just come find us.
Definitely. Well, unfortunately, that'll wrap it up for this episode of the Bottom Line Podcast. If you have any thoughts on anything we discussed, and some of it was very fiery at that, let us know on Twitter and Instagram @BottomLineWMCX and on Twitter @The NVP Show, #BottomLine. Don't forget to leave a voice message on the Anchor app or at Anchor.fm. And if you like what you see on YouTube, please leave a like and a comment down below. It helps out tremendously. And please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss a single episode. And please subscribe on all audio listening platforms. Just include Jimmy when searching for this podcast. But ladies, first of all, we cannot thank you guys enough for coming on to talk about your podcast and talk about some hockey. This was an absolutely fun discussion, probably one of the best ones that we've had in quite some time, other than the one we just had with First to 11, obviously, and all their friends. But this is definitely up there. You are always welcome back on the show anytime to talk some hockey and trash our teams more. But in all seriousness, thank you, ladies, so much, and good luck the rest of the way. You guys are going places.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having us.
Of course, and like I said, you're definitely welcome back anytime. Go follow and subscribe to the Slapshot Sweethearts. Follow them on social media. And like I said, go subscribe to them on all audio platforms and on YouTube as well. For Neil Villapiano and for the Slapshot Sweethearts, I'm Jimmy Finizzi. This is the Bottom Line Podcast, and we will see you in the next episode. Peace out.